Hello, Transfer of Learning students. I'm here to teach about transfer of learning. My name is Andy Rasco. Transfer of learning is the process of transferring previously learned information to current scenarios. So when you've learned something previously, and then you're in a new situation and you're not sure exactly what to do, you can fall back on your previously learned knowledge. So let's say that you were learning to swim in the ocean, and you've swum in the ocean before, but now you're going to go to the bay. So it's slightly different than where you've learned to swim, but you do know how to swim, and so you're going to apply that knowledge to your current scenario, which would be the bay. You are learning to think. When we're talking about transfer of learning, we're learning how the thinking process occurs. First concept that I'd like to talk about is the transfer of thoughts. So you've got your subconscious, you've got your conscious mind. Thoughts bounce between there and your body, and it causes an automatic transfer at times. And how did you get there? You were educated, so someone taught you how to swim. You were trained. Someone might even have drawn swimming on a whiteboard for you about certain strokes, and you've had experience. So you swam in the ocean, now you've swam in the bay. The next thing you might do would be to swim in a bay or an ocean far, far away, or a pool. And if you're able to swim in all those different areas and complete the strokes in the way that your training has allowed you to learn how to do them, and your education has taught you how to swim, then you would be generalizing what you have learned. So the tools and the transfer aid our physical capabilities. So anything like a hand tool that helps us physically to do more than we otherwise could. If you're swimming, that might be holding onto a tow rope behind a really fast speedboat. You'd be able to go faster, and you'd be able to ski, which you couldn't normally do if you were just swimming by yourself. Aid to our mental capabilities, that would be something like a computer that helps us mentally to do more than we otherwise can. It could be a computer, it could be a calculator, it could be an Excel spreadsheet that helps you do higher math functions faster than what you normally can. But most importantly, reading and writing are both profound tools that we can use, because as we're reading, as we're writing, we're also doing in our mind. And so as we're doing in our mind, it's getting into our subconscious, and it's actually opening up a doorway for us to automatically learn. And so it's one of the very most important things that we can do is read and write. A teaching strategy that you might be familiar with is teach the transfer. So there's traditional, which uses the old learning and the new scenarios, and there's constructivism and metacognition. That's where you build on and integrate all the new learning in with the old. And so those are some of the teaching strategies would be teach to transfer, and that's called explicit teaching. And it's proven effective even with little ones. So you can help them learn how to think and learn how to transfer the information by that awareness that they have to the fact that they are learning. And that's called metacognition. So the awareness is needed. You need to have prior knowledge. So let's say you're a very young child. We might take them to the ocean and they might jump in, but they do have some prior knowledge of what the ocean is like, how cold it is, what it feels like, what it smells like. They might even have prior knowledge of swimming in a swimming pool that they're trying to transfer their learning over into the ocean, if we want to go back that far. There needs to be thinking in their minds, like, how am I going to do this stroke? How am I going to swim in the ocean? What are the things that are different? What are the things that are the same to my experiences that have happened before, my experiences that are happening now? Then you have the thinking strategies. How am I going to transfer this information from my previous environment of the pool and the strokes that I've learned how to do in the swimming pool to my now current environment, which would be the ocean, and the strokes that I might be able to do in the ocean, and what things are going to prevent me from doing the strokes that I learned in the pool. Tools create transfer. So 2 transfer of learning theories, near and far, low road, and high road, are theories that were talked about in some of our readings. And I'm going to explain to you the near and the far would be applying an old knowledge to a similar situation that you would have practiced and practiced so much that it almost becomes automatic, versus your FAR transfer of learning, which would be applying old knowledge in a differentiated method to new situations. So your old knowledge of swimming in a pool in a differentiated method to the new situation. So you might swim in someone else's pool, you might swim in the ocean, you might swim in the bay, and again that would be called generalization, but that would be the FAR transfer of learning. Low road and high road. Low road would be applying practice skills and knowledge to a scenario almost automatically. That's very, very similar to the near road, or to the near transfer of learning, versus the high road, which would be applying skills and knowledge to a scenario, but a deliberate search for knowledge and connection must be made. So maybe there's a stroke that the swimmer is not quite familiar with, and they're really trying hard to figure out how to make their body move in a certain way. And they're trying to make the connection from what the teacher is showing them with her body and her maybe even writing it down and drawing it out, the education that she is providing the learner, and there's a connection that's trying to be made, but it's a higher level of thinking. So it's definitely a higher road. So it might even be thinking about thinking. And how do I get all of this knowledge in my brain? And how do I make a connection with what I want to do and where I want to go with the knowledge that I already have? So I'm deliberately searching for that knowledge and trying to make that connection. And transfer of learning students, there's always more. I want to say goodbye for now, but I just want to reiterate that explicit teaching that happens when you're teaching students and you're really sharing with them what's going on. The research shows that very young students can even benefit from thinking about thinking and knowing that they're learning. So it's really good to encourage your students to learn and to know how to learn. Hey, this is something new for you. You've never thought of it before. You've never seen it before. I want you to be open-minded about it, and I want you to try and make those connections for that higher level of thinking. Or maybe, hey, students, this is something that you should be very comfortable with because you have all this prior knowledge about it, and I really want you to build on what you have already learned and to be able to make something amazing with what activity or instruction I'm giving you. So yes, there's always more. It's always building on all of the theories that we've learned with Piaget and with Erikson and with Pavlov and Skinner, and who else in my Vygotsky? How could I leave him out? That as well. All of those theories have brought us to this. So we now know that there's developmental steps, there's developmental stages, there's more learning with a knowledgeable other, with peers, and all of that's kind of in a big ball right now. And what we can do is take all of that we've got, and we're going to stretch a little bit more, and we're going to apply that transfer of learning so we know cognitively what's going on and how that can create automatic responses in our body. So that's it for now. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in class.